Previously on Earth. Welcome to a deep dive into history. Today we explore the darkest chapter of the medieval world and the surprising light that followed. Between 1347 and 1353, the Black Death killed somewhere between 25 and 50 million people in Europe alone. That was roughly a third of the entire continent's population. It was the deadliest pandemic in human history. It was also, in ways that took generations to become visible, one of the most transformative events in history. This is both of those things at once, the horror and the transformation, told honestly. This is the story of how a plague destroyed one world and accidentally built the foundations of another. The Black Death was a catastrophe that reshaped the very foundations of human society. It was the end of the Middle Ages and the beginning of us. Let's start from the beginning. To understand what the Black Death did to Europe, you need to understand the Europe it arrived in. Medieval European society was narrow, dark, and built on a rigid feudal structure. It was a world that hadn't changed in centuries. Streets were packed and rats were so common that nobody even noticed them anymore. Hygiene was an optimistic suggestion. At the top were the nobility, who owned almost all the land. They were used to getting everything they wanted. In the middle was the church, owning enormous amounts of land and collecting tithes from every single soul. At the bottom were the peasants, 90% of the population, bound to the land they farmed with no legal rights. Peasants couldn't leave their lord's land without permission. They were legally tied to it by birth. They couldn't keep the fruits of their labor, owing a portion of everything they produced to the lord above them. The church told them this was God's design. The rich were rich because God willed it, and the poor were poor for the same reason. The system seemed permanent. It had operated this way for centuries, but the cracks were already starting to show. Europe was already under stress before the plague arrived. The Great Famine of 1315 killed millions. Harvests failed across the continent. It left the survivors weakened and malnourished for a generation. There were too many people farming the same land using techniques that hadn't improved in centuries. Yields were declining. The medieval agricultural system was approaching its absolute limits. The population had never fully recovered from the famine. Europe was a tinderbox, and the spark was coming from the east. It was about to change everything. The cause was the bacterium Yersinia pestis. It lived in the fleas of rodents on the Central Asian steppe. Climate changes in the 1340s disrupted rodent populations, driving infected rats toward human settlements for the first time. The plague hopped onto the Silk Road, the medieval world's information and trade highway. It moved with the caravans. The same routes that made the medieval world interconnected and prosperous made it perfectly designed to spread a pandemic. The plague traveled west at roughly the same speed as the trade caravans. It was approaching the gates of Europe. In October 1347, 12 Genoese trading ships docked at the port of Messina in Sicily. The world was about to change. Officials found ships full of dead and dying men, covered in black swellings that oozed blood and pus. It was a nightmare. Messina ordered the ships out immediately, but it was too late. The bacterium had already made its way ashore. Bubonic plague was the most common form. It infected the lymph nodes, creating the characteristic swellings called buboes. The swellings blackened as the patient died. If you caught this, you had a coin flip's chance of surviving without treatment. Pneumonic plague was even worse. It infected the lungs and spread through the air. One cough could kill a whole room. Without modern antibiotics, the survival rate for this airborne version was near zero. It was a death sentence. Then there was the septicemic plague. The bacteria entered the blood directly, causing skin to blacken and rot while the person lived. The survival rate was essentially zero. It was the fastest killer of all. Europe was facing three different nightmares at once. Medieval medicine was powerless. Doctors had no idea what was happening. They tried rubbing onions and herbs on the sores. They tried bloodletting, which only weakened patients further. Their understanding of disease was based on ancient theories that were wrong. One of the only things that helped was fleeing. Doctors suggested it for the wrong reasons, but it accidentally worked for some. By 1348, The plague was a tidal wave moving at 4 kilometers a day. It followed the trade routes of a dying continent. In major cities like Florence and Paris, over half the population died within months. The infrastructure of civilization began to collapse. By 1351, it had reached the edges of Russia. No corner of the continent was safe from the bacterium that didn't care about borders. Humanity responded with desperation. The flagellants traveled between towns, whipping themselves to appease God's anger. But they didn't know they were acting as a distribution network, accidentally spreading the plague everywhere they went. Worse, some turned on Jewish communities, accusing them of poisoning wells. It was one of the worst episodes of medieval violence. The Pope issued a bull condemning the violence and stating that Jews were dying too. But the panic-stricken mobs ignored him. Contemporaries described a total silence across cities. No merchants in the streets, no children playing, no animals. Just the sound of cartwheels and the constant tolling of bells, until there were no bell ringers left to ring them. The world was quiet. Between 25 and 50 million dead in Europe alone, roughly a third of the continent. The scale is impossible to process. The infrastructure of food supply, law, and religion broke down under the weight of the dying. The world of 1347 was gone. By 1353, the plague receded. But in the ruins, something was changing. Labor had suddenly become the most valuable commodity in Europe. Before the plague, peasants were bound to the land. Now they had leverage. They could walk away to find better terms. The power relationship between landowner and laborer shifted fundamentally because a third of the laborers were simply gone. The nobility tried to fix wages and ban movement by law. They tried to restore the old order by force, but they failed. The peasants revolted. In 1381, Wat Tyler led thousands to London to demand the end of serfdom. The survivors had seen a new world. They had seen lords and bishops die alongside the poorest serfs. The idea that the social order was divine was badly damaged. The revolts were suppressed, but the reality was unchangeable. Serfdom declined across Western Europe not by law, but because the plague made it unworkable. The church faced a theological problem. Suffering was meant to be meaningful, but the plague was indiscriminate. It killed the righteous and the sinful alike. Millions died without receiving last rites because there weren't enough priests. The church's authority was damaged at its foundation. A generation that watched the church fail completely was more open to questioning it. This would, a century later, fuel the Protestant Reformation. Disruption created space for a new middle class. Land was cheap, wages were high, and the old guild monopolies were broken. Wealth was moving. Ordinary people were living better. Better food, better housing, and more personal possessions. The survivors were rebuilding in a less constrained world. Archaeological evidence shows a measurable improvement in the standard of living. There were fewer people competing for more resources. Ancient authorities like Galen had no answers. If they were wrong about the plague, what else were they wrong about? This doubt was the start of science. The confidence to question ancient authorities was one of the seeds of the Renaissance and eventually the scientific revolution. The world was opening up. This was the seed of the Renaissance. Florence, one of the hardest-hit cities, became the cradle of humanism, centering reason over ancient dogma. Writers like Boccaccio celebrated human resilience. The labor shortage even raised artist wages, giving them more creative freedom. The individual was born. The Black Death killed a third of Europe, but it also built the modern world. It forced humans to adapt, rebuild, and question everything. The transformation wasn't quick. It happened through waves of adaptation over centuries. The civilization that emerged was something genuinely new. Humanity rebuilds from the worst things. The Western world was shaped by the ruins of the plague more deeply than most history acknowledges. History shows us our resilience. Subscribe for more. See you in the next video, and thank you for watching.